Welcome to the first ever edition to the Tribal Lines podcast, another Survivor
Hey.
podcast. I am your
Woo!
host,
Welcome.
Pat Johnson, joined by my co-host.
Allison Sawyer. Welcome, everyone. I'm so happy you're here.
Yes, we are happy that you guys are here. If you are tuning in, that means you are Survivor fans just like us, Survivor nerds just like us. And you know what? There's no better way to start a Survivor podcast than to talk about why we love the game so much.
It's going to be a better way. So, Mr. Johnson, who is your favorite ever Survivor? Let's not dive right into it. I want to hear.
Oh, we're diving right in.
Oh, we're doing it.
All right, so my favorite Survivor of all time has to be Jeremy Collins. Jeremy Collins. Jeremy Collins, I think he has one of the greatest stories of all time, one of the best winning seasons of all time. Just a great stand-up dude, firefighter, family man. He is the essence of what Survivor's about. And yeah, he's got to be my number one. How about you?
Okay, but would you put Kelly Wentworth as your number two?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah. She's my favorite non-winner.
You definitely have a crush on her.
Yes, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do cookies.
Yeah, all that good stuff. But Allison and I met on a Survivor Facebook page where we nerded out about Survivor, where they just talk all things Survivor, all good things Survivor. And
Actually, you made a post on the Facebook.
I did.
One of the ones that we made, and you're like, "Hey, I want to start a podcast." And I think you got like 60 comments on that. But I messaged you, and I was like, "Dude, I'm
She's the only one to
serious
message
about
me.
this." Hey, and that's how we got here.
Right. And that's exactly how we got here. You know, we both love the game. We both love what it's about. I, personally love the idea of stripping people back all the way, bare bones, putting them on an island with crazy people, all walks of life, and seeing
Wait,
what
who are you stripping
happens.
down?
Yeah, exactly. But I love this game. We love this game. So we want to have a great ass time with this podcast. Allison, thoughts on 41? Survivor 41.
Very mixed feelings, actually.
Okay, why?
Loved having it back. This is one of the first seasons I watched in a long time that was live.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the editing they did, but some of the twists, I feel like they're going too far with some of the twists.
Were you happy with the winner, Allison?
We'll get to that. Maybe
Right.
next episode.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
a big topic, but the answer in short is no. Any hoodles. I have mixed feelings about the whole season. It was good. A lot of the twists, I think, overcomplicated things, but I did like the cast and the tribe members. I think they were very entertaining. I think it was an entertaining season. I think people are really hard on it.
Right. So Allison and I have watched a lot of seasons of Survivor, arguably all of them. Allison, where do you rank this in your tier of Survivor? Is it A-list, B-list, middle of the pack list, one of your lower tiers?
Down the alphabet are we going to? Because
we're going down Z for Xander.
Hey. I love Xander. Oh man.
Yeah, he was a great character.
Take me to church here.
But
no, yeah, we'll get off the season. We're gonna talk to do I let them know?
Oh my God, yes, we do.
It?
So Survivor 41 was a great season. I personally rank it in a top 20 season of mine. I love all of the characters. I love the twist, not so much, but I did love the way that the game ended up. I think that we had a lot of great characters. We're gonna dive into Survivor 41, but there's no better way to do so than to actually talk to the man, the myth,
what
the
man?
pre-merge king.
Oh,
snub too early, Mr. Brad Reese. We're gonna let Brad into the meeting here.
Oh my God, is he here? Is it time?
It's gonna be time.
Let's go.
There he is. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Pat.
Brad, nice to meet you.
All right, nice to meet you. Hey, how's the Zoom? How's it coming through?
Good. We hear you well, Brad. You're a real handsome guy, but we want to hear what you got to say. So at least we can hear you.
Perfect. Oh, great.
All right, Brad. So we want to first off just thank you for being the first guest on the Tribal Lines podcast. Something that Allison and I started in the works about a couple months ago. We had met on Facebook in a group page for Survivor fans, and I was,
Gotcha.
Showed interest in wanting to talk about the show and analyze the gameplay and really just dig deep into all things Survivor. Allison and I met, and it's been history ever since. So we want to thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, that's great. No, that's very cool, man. Excited to be your first. That's really cool.
For those listening at home, Brad was the first and only one to answer us so far. So hopefully Brad helps us get some traction. But yeah, we're gonna dig into the season of Survivor that you played, and we're gonna dig into your overall thoughts about the game, your overall thoughts about this season, how it turned out, and
things. Just be like, I am completely fangirling right now. You're on Survivor, and I get to talk to you, and I'm just so stoked.
You get that a lot in Wyoming, Brad?
It's funny. I was just at a wrestling practice for my son, and I walked up, and this little old girl, she's probably about 6 years old. Were you on Survivor? I watched you. I love that. I just love
yeah,
it. So,
man. Yeah, that's
It's
awesome.
a great feeling. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Brad, like I said, we're happy to have you. I want to jump right into the first day on that island, man. What is that initial feeling? You step on, your sand's crumbling all over your toes, and you're feeling it. You know, the sun's beating on you.
dude,
What is
yeah.
that? Yeah.
You got it. It's right in your stomach, right? I mean, it's just like, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I mean? And that's just everybody on the beach is saying that. And you know, you're on the boats, and man, when you see that big, the marooning, you know, the big ship, when you're driving up to that, and you see the rope ladders over the edge of cargo nets, you go, man, this is really going to happen. You know, after COVID and all, after taking the year off, it's like,
all
is this ever going to happen? You know, 5 COVID tests. Am I going to pass everyone? You don't know. And then all of a sudden it all comes together like, yeah, it's happening.
Right,
Awesome.
right. That adrenaline and that, you know, that drive is what people crave when they want to play this show. You know what I mean? That's the draw to this show. I know that, you know, that was your personal draw. You were saying that you loved the absolute intensity and the power in this game. I do a lot of like Survivor reading, and I like to do a lot of like precast assessments and all that kind of stuff. And I saw you think, you know, Boston Rob. I listen to Rob has a podcast, and I'm like,
get me started on Boston Rob.
And I'm like, I know that Brad has only seen 2 seasons, and one of them may have been with Boston Rob.
It was not, right?
Oh,
it was not. It was, season 21 with Holly. She's the reason I kind of started watching. Season 23, I loved Ozzy. And then you start hearing about this guy who was just very strategic and very smart. And it's like, Boston Rob's the best there is. And I'm like, well, and you're just filling out this application, right? And so if you start getting your head wrapped around every question, you don't fill it out. You know, you just get all, you just got to feel like, well, who would you play most like? Well, the smartest guy, the best there is, right? Well,
exactly.
Of course they would.
Brad, they made a figure for him in season 39, you know.
So now as I started watching more seasons, right? And then you start watching Boston Rob, but I am not like Boston Rob. And I tried to change it. I tried to tell him, hey, I am not like Boston Rob. Too late, man. Too late.
Yeah, it's already out there, right? Exactly. You know, Brad, you're I would say a tier of his own. Maybe they'll have like a broccoli statue out there for you one day. We're gonna hop into that.
I like it. I like the broccoli statue.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
I like that. I'm
butterflies around it on turf with goats.
Got it.
I'm afraid I'll always be known as Broccoli Brad from here on for the rest of my life, though.
Yeah,
hey, man.
You can't go back now.
Everyone only has good things to say about the Broccoli Brad, you know. But I want to talk, Brad. You said you'd only seen like season 21. So was this like a one-time audition tape thing, and you just got it? They just loved you right away? Because there's people that audition for 25 years.
You're exactly right, Pat. It was a one-time deal. It was like,
wow.
I looked at my kids, you know, and I said, I think I can do that. And they're like, yeah, you can, Dad.
Yeah,
so I'm like,
course.
well, what the heck? So I just grabbed the video camera, 3-minute video, filled out Boston Rob, filled out just, you know, I tell people now, when you apply, unapologetically be yourself. That's what they want to see. And that's what I was, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, dude, I don't care if I get this or not. You know, want it, don't need it. And I just, boom, sent it in, forgot about it. 3 months later, here comes the call. You know what I mean? Out of the blue. I'm like, oh, I did send in that video. Wow. You know?
What really drove you then? What made you really want to apply? Drove you to, you know, strive for that $1 million at the end?
Yes, I can remember exactly the moment. It was in season 23. Ozzy was playing that game, and he was playing hard, and he got down to that last puzzle against I forget her name even,
Sophie?
but Sophie. Thank you. Yeah. So he's on that last puzzle, and I mean, he's putting all of his heart into it, right? And he just didn't get it. He's like, there's $1 million puzzle, and I didn't get it, and he lost. But he came to that reunion show, and you could tell his passion, you could tell his fire. He loved it. Yeah. And I'm like, I love life. I want to live life to the fullest. And when I see somebody and I go, whoa, that guy got something that I don't have. There's a little something there. I kind of want that. And I said, what is it? Well, Jeff popped on the screen. He said, casting right now for Survivor. And I'm like, well, this is season 23. They don't still do this, right? So I Google it and it's like, no, they do still do this.
Right, they do.
It was that moment. Yeah.
Great, Brad. I love that.
You can point out and just, you know, point out that moment where you knew it for you. Because I will tell you too, I was rewatching some of the season, this afternoon, and I can see it in your challenges where you just want it so hard. So I understand where that passion comes from, and definitely the reason you went on Survivor. So good for you.
Yeah, it really did shine through, Brad, your passion. I think that's why you were such a drawing character, was because you could see it in your face, like when you're booking it down the island that we'll get into and all that stuff. You could tell that you wanted it. And there's people that lay around camp. There's people that rely on different parts of their game. And you were like, I'm not going to rely on one thing. I'm going to follow what I know best. That's my instinct. And you just went with it. And that's, a really authentic way to play.
Yeah, you got it. And I wasn't that game bot. I wasn't that guy who watched every season for the last 20 years. I was the guy who brought my life into it and my heart. I'm like, dude, this is how I live my life. This is how I'm going to play the game. And, I thought about it, and I've got some criticism for, Brad, he wouldn't have known what to do with 10 idols. You know what I mean? I was like, well, dude, here's the deal.
Well, it's really hard when you can't vote.
Yeah, no, right. It's like, never has anybody seen that one, right?
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Yeah, just stand in front of Jeff and every, cast member on there and repeat things about broccoli and butterflies.
Yeah,
I would love to know how do you feel about that twist? How do you feel about finding that idol?
Yes. So I love it, right? But I worked hard to find that. I worked hard to kind of camouflage myself into, I'm going to lay on this bench on my bed and not work too hard, not let people kind of get used to me just laying around camp. And then when they'd all go to the beach, I'd be like, oh, I got 10 minutes. And boom, I'd take off and book it, just tear through the trees like Tony and start looking. Yeah. So I worked hard for that. And so when I found it, I'm excited. I find it's like, oh, but it says beware right on it. And you're going, oh no. But obviously you got to take the chance, right? I mean, it's Survivor. And so I didn't hesitate. But then when you see it takes your vote, and then it all kind of starts dawning on you, it neutered me. It kind of just tied me up. I'm like, oh no, I don't have a vote. I can't use my steel vote. Right. I can't roll the dice. And it kind of got in my head that I can't do nothing, but I'm just going to trust Shan and Jeannie. That's all I got, is just trust those two. And
right. And we saw, how much sway Shan had this season. And we saw all the social dynamics that went into those relationships. But before we step all the way into that, I kind of want to tie it back a little bit to that marooning. You guys got through. You guys were the first ones done. You got it. That feeling, I'm sure, is amazing. And then you watch it back on TV. They had to choose Sweat. They had to choose Savvy. What would you have pulled for? Are you? I know you're carrying the buckets of water, aren't you?
Oh, I totally am, Pat. But that's why I think I would have pulled for Savvy, right? We got Sarah, who's thinking MIT brilliant. If she can't count triangles, who can? You know what I mean? So it's like, let's all get together as a group, because the fact is, you don't need fire or a pot or a flint to survive. You can survive on nothing, and starve for a day or two. They're not going to let you die out there. You know what I mean? So it's like, let's take the chance on the triangles. I think we really would have. I would have voted for it.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. See, that's exactly what this game is too, is perception. I perceived Brad as a guy that's going to go sweat and go for the gold. And, that's why this game can definitely be so hard. But, so that, day one, you're out there and you guys got to go to tribal council. It's a double tribal council. Sarah ends up going home.
That Brad, double tribal, that was, my heart sank right there. You know what I mean?
For you.
That's tough. That's hard. And tough. Especially in tribes of 6.
Exactly. And
nowhere to hide.
It was day 23 before we started playing. 14 days of quarantine pregame. So you're out there. And and so all of a sudden you go out there and you're playing. Here comes day 3, and you look over and there's just one immunity idol. And you go, uh-oh, Jeff's pulling a fast one on us, because we knew we could beat Yasa. We knew we could do that. But we weren't sure about Luvu. You know what I mean? It's like they had stinking NFL players on their team. So,
exactly.
So we're like, oh, we're going to have to suck it up. So we knew we had to go hard, and we were, and we were winning it. And Sarah was just crushing it. He was like, Sarah with another piece, and Sarah with another piece. And we're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. And I just sitting there and I'm looking for flat pieces. I'm like, I don't see any flat pieces. And everything just went downhill from there.
Yeah, it was in the bag.
Stinking bag, man. You check the bag, and when you're in the battle.
You did your best, and I love that. Again, that's what Survivor's all about, right? Just going in there and doing your best. And if you get somebody out, well,
just charge, right? That's it hurts me a little bit because Survivor is supposed to be that way, but it seems like it's kind of shifting just a little bit to everybody keep your head down. Everybody just lay low. And it's like, no, that's not why I went to the island to
play the game.
Play the game. Yep.
Exactly. And I don't know. It kind of, you say, do you have any regrets? Because it was me. I played who Brad is.
Right.
And if I'd have played any other game and still got voted off, right? You could get voted off. It's kind of a game of luck. But at least I got no regrets because that's who I am. I played myself, and you get voted off. Well, no regrets.
Right. Yeah. I get that. I totally understand where you're coming from with that. So that first tribal council, you guys are kind of that became a real live tribal real quick. And before before that tribal started, Sarah goes on and tells the audience that Brad pulls a Brad Survivor move of 2002. And run us through that moment.
Congratulations.
Run us through that moment a little bit, because you and Jeannie were locked. You had said there that you need JD for the physical. You're not beating Luvu yet. So, you don't really know where you guys are going to go yet. And then you chose the two people that did maybe the worst at the challenge. Was that something where you kind of were like, I don't know what to say, so blurting it out, or was that a planned thing?
No, it was kind of planned. And here's the deal. I wanted Ricard. Ricard and I just butted heads from the start. And so I wanted Ricard. And Sarah was gravitating towards Ricard for one reason or another. And so it's like, well, maybe I don't have enough power to get Ricard, but let's get his second in command. I knew I had Jeannie, and I thought I had Shan, right? I thought I was tight with Shannon. And that was my biggest mistake of the game. People say, oh, you made all kinds of mistakes. No, I made one big mistake, and that was Shan. So I had this plan. And so when you got Sarah and Shan here, and Sarah's looking at you like, who are you voting for? And it's like, well, let's make her feel kind of comfortable. It's obviously not Shan. I'm number one with Shan. So it's like, well, Sarah and Shan kind of messed up at the challenge, right? They did. But Shan knew I wasn't throwing Shan under the bus. You know what I mean?
And in doing that, that kind of assures, Shan in front of Sarah that it could be Shan, but it's not Shan.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I get what you're saying.
When you step on a beach and we come to decisions like this, how do you know who to trust? How do you make these bonds, and how do you decide, this will be my alliance, or this is somebody who might?
Yeah, maybe what was your standard of trust?
Yeah, now that's a great question, right? That's the $1 million Survivor question, because it is little tiny things is all you have to go on, because everybody there is there for a reason, right? Casting's amazing, and so every person has a story. Every person is a good storyteller, and so how do you know who to trust? You talk to Jeannie, and you talk to Shan, you go, oh, I love these people, we're good. And then you see Shan go and talk to Ricard, and you go, oh, I think Shan's still with me, but her body language is really looking like she kind of is in with Ricard, right? So it's body language, it's eyes, it's, I still kind of look at Jeannie, even when she would be talking to JD or something. You just kind of do that little wink, like we're still cool, right? We're still cool. So it's just little tiny things, and that's all you got, especially in a 26-day game. It's moving fast, and I couldn't believe how fast everybody's just going to everybody. And it's like, oh, all I got now is the trust, but you got your gut feelings, and I think that's what it boils down to is, Jeannie and I work together on that shelter. Work is very bonding, you know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Boy, I knew me and Jeannie were solid. And I actually told Jeannie, I'm like, Jeannie, you and I are a little too close. People perceive us as a power couple, so let's kind of back off a little bit. But that's tricky, right? Because, is Brad really like me or doesn't like me? So
it's kind of balancing the two sides of it. It's very hard in this game to do that. There's only one survivor every year for a reason. So it's definitely a very hard thing. So Sarah ends up going home. You and JD maybe not so tight after that, though.
So what they didn't show at that tribal council, right? When it blows up, when Sarah spins around, and she was going for all she had. I loved her gameplay. She spins around, she's desperate, and she throws a Hail Mary, and it starts to connect, right? I mean, there's traction. And Jeannie spins to me, and she's like, Brad, what are they doing? And I'm like, Jeannie, they're going for me. You can just feel they're going for me. They're whispering for me. I'm like, they're turning it on me. And JD was right beside me on the left, and Jeannie on the right. And she goes, well, what do we do? And I said, let's drop the hammer on Ricard. That's what I told her. I said, let's drop the hammer on Ricard. And Jeannie's like, Ricard? I'm like, Ricard. And JD looks at me, and he stands up, and he goes straight over there. And I'm like, I thought he was mine. I thought if I'd had
that's where the I
right
thought
there,
we were tight came from.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where the stray vote from Ricard came from. This makes sense now. This is why we podcast, Brad.
This is why we podcast. The inside stuff. This is what the people want.
That's crazy. So Brad,
that's where that came from. And
yeah, that was crazy, man. That was a crazy tribal. Great for a first day back at Survivor since the pandemic, like.
Right. Well, you watch a show and you see these live tribals and you go, they're just making it for show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when that thing blew up and everybody goes and talks over there, there's 2 of you here and 4 of them over there. That is a sick feeling. And you start going, no, this is real. This is real. This isn't scripted. This isn't the show, the producer saying, okay, you 4 go talk over there. It's like, I'm in trouble and I got to do something here. And man, it kind of gets out of your hands. That tribal is a gut wrenching, tough deal.
So do you have strong memories from tribal? Like, are there things that like haunt you in the middle of the night about tribal council with Jeff?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Tribal is the highest of the highs, right? The lowest of the lows. So, when you got nervousness, it just burns in your memory. And so, yeah, you kind of remember where the cameras were coming from that were pointing at you. You remember the fire. You remember the stump you were sitting on, how uncomfortable it was, how kind of awkward you were there. So you remember every little vivid detail from those and what people say and how they said it. And the look of JD when he got up, he looked right through me. He just, and I thought he was a good Alliance member. And that Allison said, how do you know when people you can trust? Right there. I know I couldn't trust him. Right there. He just looked right through me and ran right. And it turns out he ran over to Shan and said, that's a dumb move voting off Brad. So he was kind of defending me, but it showed me that Shan was his number 1, not Brad, not Gene.
Right.
Shan. And so every little bit, it's like slow motion. And you just see that, ooh, sure. And then it's just kind of that.
I wish everyone listening could see the motion that Brad just made.
Oh, it was amazing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But
you feel it.
Yeah, but Brad, I kind of want to talk about episode 3, which was ultimately one of the saddest episodes that we have had to go through. Okay, we had to lose Brad. Brad, if it makes you feel good,
it doesn't make him feel good. He doesn't.
You didn't win, but I did have you in my finale pre-season.
Oh man, thanks.
I had you losing to Deshaun in a 5-3 vote.
That'd have been perfect. I love Deshaun.
Hey, but you weren't a goat and you didn't ride his coattails.
That's it.
He just had more Alliance members. That's why he won. But I want to talk about, Shit Wheel Island. You made a dummy. You made a little thing look like a little Brad and you left.
Go, Brad.
Yeah. Ferris Bueller, right?
I had seen other places you had said, you felt a lot more ease than the people that were there with you because you had that to go back on. You know what I mean? They had nothing. They were get in, get out, figure this out. I don't want to be here.
Right.
For you, it was like, I'm feeling a little bit better. Like I want to play this game. I'm here. This is exciting.
So that's it exactly, right? I mean, I sat there laying there on that beach thinking about it, right? Because it's like, okay, if I make a fake body and for some reason they get up and they feel it and I'm fake, they know something's up, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm just gone, well, maybe he's back in the bush going number 2. You know what I mean? You don't know. But I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? It's night. They're not getting up. They don't get up and go, they're just going to look over. That's the most they're going to do. And JD was kind of restless. He was kind of awake.
I saw that. Yes.
Totally was real. And so I'm like, you know what? I just need something here to look like Brad. Just don't even think Brad could be gone. And so that's why I'm like, okay, let's get these spins. And I love the creativity, right? It's like just your mind's going all the time. What can I do on a practical, scale to do this? And so I put my shoes in the oars and I put the fins, put my shirt over the top of the fins. And boy, when I kind of rolled out of there and left, I felt good. Yeah. Sydney and Tiffany both were like, okay, we got to get back. And I'm like, yeah, no rush. No, we got this. So no, it was great. I loved it.
I love that you played an impressive, strategic, but thoughtful and aggressive game. You weren't
snubbed too soon, Brad.
Snubbed too soon. And Allison, I appreciate that because that was my goal, right? The producers would ask me and say, hey, tell us about your game you're playing. And I said, I'm playing a game to go straight ahead. I'm running straight ahead. And I said, I'm going to count on my advantages, my alliance, my people, because I know I'm kind of being a threat. I know I'm playing hard, but I want to be going forward so fast that they can't keep up with me. That was my goal, is just outrun the whole thing. And I knew I'd be a threat at some point, like right after the merge. Okay, Brad. And I said, I'll deal with that when the time comes. But right now, I thought I was safe. I thought I had advantages. And I tell you what, when that boat advantage, that beware advantage took my boat, oh man, that's what hit me. That's what all of a sudden it's like, okay, the strategy I had for this game all of a sudden got turned on its head. Yeah. And that was hard.
You know, there's so many hard decisions that you have to make out there that are so quick and that are so like, you know, you're stripped back of food and a comfortable bed to sleep in and all of your supportive, you know, friends and, you know, for you, your wife and your kids.
Not like you're working on all
everything's gone.
There. You don't have any food or sleep or stuff like that. So
yeah. And I didn't quite realize, you know, I was not very hungry on the island.
Really?
You know, I ate a lot of coconut. I ate a lot of lime and coconut, cooked the coconut, popcorn coconut, boiled the coconut every which way you can make it. But I was losing a lot of weight, man. I lost 14 pounds. You know what I mean? I really don't have 14 pounds to lose, but it was all water. It was all. And so I think that does start messing with your head. You know, that night of the third tribal council, when I got booted, I could feel it, right? You know what I mean? I could feel it. I could look at JD's reactions. JD wasn't being paranoid. JD's a sharp guy and he wasn't being paranoid. So I'm like, oh, he's not as nervous as he should be. Ricard was talking about, oh, no, I'm afraid it might be me tonight. I'm like, well, that don't make sense. And so you can kind of feel yourself going, oh, I don't like where this is going, but I don't quite know what to do about it. And that I was blaming myself. I was kicking myself for that because I thought through that a million times. What could I have done? What could I have done? What could I have done? And I'm like, you know what? In those conditions, with the advantages I had taken from me, you know, okay, I could have gave Jeannie my steal a vote.
Yeah.
She could have played it, took Ricard's vote to vote JD. And so maybe there was a path forward.
Right. But it was so I tried to look at all the ways that it could happen with all the rules and everything that was stated. I really don't know that there was a path for you.
That's me. Thank you.
Yeah. And I was thinking to myself,
hope we pick the right one.
Right. And I'm thinking to myself, and sometimes it's even the path that's given to you. You know, ultimately, like you have a choice, but you didn't know you were going to lose your vote. But that's, you know, that's the chance you take. And that's what season 41 seemed to, you know, have been all about, is big chances and, you know, seeing if that risk is going to be rewarded and in what way, you know?
Yes.
And so that night, the night that you get booted, what are you thinking? Are you upset in the way that you played? Do you think you went out too early? Do you think it was a dumb decision to keep JD over you, aka money?
Oh my God, the money scene. Ooh, that made me laugh.
he was great TV, man.
No shade to JD. It's an all innocent fun game, but
absolutely. He was great on that island. He was so funny. His imitations. He was awesome.
Oh, he's an entertaining character. I'm sure I think as well as you, he's another guy we could see back.
I totally agree with him. You know what I mean? He's such a student of the game, and he offers so much more. You know what I mean? It's like he didn't, kind of like me, he didn't break loose. He didn't get his toes in it. You know what I mean? It's like we have a lot of game left in us. But you know, as far as when you're off, once you realize it, you're mad at first, right? And then you kind of start thinking and you go, man, maybe I shouldn't have told Shan about my advantages because I really gave her no choice. You know what I mean? Because it's like, Brad's weak tonight. Next time he might not be weak, you know? And it's like, okay, I would have played that different. I wouldn't have told Shan about it, but I was trying to buy her loyalty. I was telling her, Shan, this is for us. I told her, this is for us. We're going to take these advantages all the way. And I sincerely believe we could have. I really do. With Shan's ability, she was amazing. Yeah. If I would have had that Shan on my side with Jeannie,
oh yeah, you're in it. You're in that marriage.
In the meantime, she was singing her song.
Yeah. And that's I didn't want to go crazy into Shan because there's just so much out there to that whole Shan Ricard dynamic. I kind of wanted to just know about Brad and what Brad was feeling out there and get to know Brad a little bit. So Brad, like, let me ask you real quick. You're a cattle rancher, first contestant from Wyoming. What has been the feedback back at home?
Yeah. So I was at a wrestling tournament this weekend and I walk in the tournament and people recognize you because Wyoming is a big state, not many people, but I think everybody in Wyoming knew that we had the first Survivor contestant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the support from Wyoming was amazing. They loved me. They loved the game I played. I played like a Wyoming guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're not afraid of 30 below weather. We got wind, we got cold, and you know, a cattle rancher to boot. That's true blue Wyoming. And so I think I was a great representation of Wyoming. And so it's proud. I feel good to say, yeah, man, we done it for Wyoming. No, everybody agrees it didn't go as far as it should have.
Yeah, I agree.
same.
Yeah, but it is what it is. It's a kind of a game of luck, kind of a game of skill. And who knows, you play this game 20 times and you'd probably have 10 different winners. You know what I mean? I think Erica, Xander, Deshaun, I think they're amazing players. But man, just one little thing, one little puzzle piece changes. 2 eliminations to start instead of 1 would have changed everything in this game, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Crazy how much it changes.
Twists for a reason, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything that happened out on that island that you wish that we would have saw? Is there anything, any types of relationships or any types of moments that happened that you wish, everyone back at home could have seen?
Yeah, it's their storyline, right? And they're telling a story. And I think if I had went deeper into the game, they'd have built a whole different character out of me. But since you're kind of going fast, they got to show your highlights, the bodies, the hiding. But there was so much of I am just my survival skills in the forest. You know what I mean? I'm just a hard, tough rancher that fire comes easy, surviving comes easy, sleeping on bamboo comes easy. And when you're in your element, right? You build relationships. Like the relationship with Jeannie was so natural.
Yeah.
I don't think they showed it a lot on TV because it came too easy. There was no drama there.
Right.
And I like to treat people how I like to be treated. And that's kind of how I went into this game, was thinking, hey, if I just treat people like I want to be treated, build alliances like I build alliances in the ranching world, I'll trust those skills to take me. And that's part of it they didn't show. They didn't have time to show it,
Yeah. I mean, they don't, it's like so many days and hours that they have to put into 45 minutes of it. We only got collectively like under 200 hours of Brad. It's like, there was probably so much more.
Very real.
Yeah,
totally. As such a real guy and working hard. I'm sure you do work hard in Wyoming today. So you did the same thing on Survivor, and I think we all saw that. But I agree is that sometimes they edit out, those relationships to make a good storyline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that can happen. Yeah,
totally do. Totally. When I dove off that boat, and that dive is like the epitome of Brad Reese, right? I mean,
that epic slow-mo dive.
Loved it. Yep.
Oh yeah, your kids were probably. Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. That's how I knew. I was like, I might be right about my prediction. This guy's making the merge. Like, I can look at people and be like, this guy. Like, I was so surprised you and Voce were both out so early.
Yeah, Boche's awesome. Yeah, he's awesome. But when I did that dive, I hit the water, I swam over to the raft, climbed in the raft, and I'm like, okay, let's go. And they're like, no, there's one missing. I'm like, who? And I look over and there's JD literally drowning in the water. I mean, literally, he's got all these clothes on and he's just going up and down, and I dive right back in. And I watched it again the other day, episode 1, and you can see me, they splice it out, but you can see me getting back out of the boat right after I got in. I got back out, swam over, grabbed JD, pulled him over, shoved him up on the life raft. You know what I mean? And I thought I was getting Captain America. And, it's like, dude, I'm a rock star. Told my family, I'm like, oh, you're going to be so proud of Dad. You know what I mean? And then the first 5 minutes, they cut that out. I'm like, uh-oh.
You're like, what enemy am I getting?
Yeah, exactly.
I would say you had I think that they showed who you are, as far as I know. And
totally.
They didn't label you as this, dude from Wyoming that doesn't know what's going on. Like, they gave you some credit. And I think we have a character in you that we could see again, which would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I'd love it. Yeah,
would you play again?
Oh, heartbeat.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask this question.
Yeah.
Big question as we come to the end here. How do you feel about the winner of your season?
Oh, Erica. So I didn't hardly get to know Erica, right? You know what I mean? You see Erica in pregame and she's this little tiny girl and you go, oh, and the game she played fit her so perfectly, because I look back on it and I'm going, well, I did the same thing. I was in pregame with her. I was in quarantine seeing her, and I didn't think much of her. She had that ability, and I love that about her. She played herself and she took it all the way, and I'm proud of her. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Brad, before we wrap this thing up, I have some just general questions that I've always wanted to ask Survivor players, because
me too, Pat.
So Allison and I, we work in childhood behavior. So we work with kids that are either, on the autism spectrum or have, just different conditions. So we work with children and we analyze behavior and work with changing behaviors. So one general question out there, was it hard for you or easy for you to perceive the way that people would be instantly? instantly, just off perception? You have Jeannie, you have JD. Were your perceptions of them instantly, were any of them kind of close to what ended up showing on TV?
Great question. Great question. No, it was not easy for me. And matter of fact, I kind of pride myself in that ability, right? I think everybody kind of thinks they can read people pretty good, but I think I can read people pretty good. But I got out there and I'm like, whoa, even in pregame, you know, you're not communicating with anybody, but it's like, oh, these people, it was hard for me.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, like Jeannie was pretty easy. You work with her, you kind of pretty quick. You're like, yeah, Jeannie, I think she's legit. But even JD, Shan, Ricard, you know, it was hard. No, it totally was.
I'm sure. And I just have one more general question for you. If Survivor still did luxury items, what would have you brought?
Yeah. So I would have brought some remembrance from home, right? So my daughters are you know, they're in high school, they're in a woodworking class, and they built this little, it was a thumbs up, you know what I mean? And it was just
like
kind
Go
of
Dad.
Good. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'd have brought, just something to remind me of home, to kind of remind me, this is why I'm here. It's all just for a season. I'm going to blow through this 26 days, and then I'll be back home to my family. But all's well, all's good right now.
That's awesome. Allison, anything else that you want to say to Brad before we let him go?
I would have 100 questions for Brad. I would love to talk to you for another 3 hours, but I thank you so much for your time. And just a reminder to anyone else who is listening to our podcast, we have an Instagram. It's at tribal_lines_pod.
Right. So that is our Instagram. We're going to be analyzing the different episodes that come out weekly. Once 42 starts, we're going to try to interview some people from 41 and previous seasons. Brad, we want to thank you again for being our first guest on the Tribal Lines pod. You were an amazing first guest. We got to learn a lot, and we look forward to maybe talking to you again sometime.
Absolutely. Hey, you guys are great, man. Good questions, good conversation. No, I love it. And man, I'll hop on your Instagram and leave some comments once these things kind of start popping on there. It'll be fun.
All right. We would appreciate it, Brad. All right, man.
Got it.
All right, Brad.
Thank you.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah. Have a good one. Thanks.
Yeah,
See
you
you.
too.